Every producer has untapped melody potential. They just need to find the process that works best for them. As someone who's found that process, let me show you what it looks like. So I like to start out with FL keys just because it kind of helps me hear the notes and what I'm doing with them. And from here, you want to lay down some bass notes. You can follow along like a popular progression. I'm just going to stick with one of my favorites, which is a 1/6 progression. Now from here, you're probably wondering what you want to do with this, and you want to turn it into some chords. Chords in general are pretty easy, but if you want some more information for how to make great chords, I've got a video for you up above, but you can keep it pretty simple. Like this right here, this is a really popular progression. Just because these two notes are a semitone apart, it's going to sound dark and dissonant. Now once you've got some chords, you really want to add rhythm to it. You can do this by breaking the chords up or arpeggiating them, and then you can add some dissonance. Like this third, this is the third of the chord. I'm going to take that and I'm going to drop it down to the second, so this will sound a lot more dark and dissonant. I'm just gonna copy that over, and this is gonna be like the base for our entire melody, because pretty much this is just chords with a little bit of bounce thrown in there. Then from here, typically I want to find a different sound because FL keys sucks. So let's just find something cool. That's actually kind of hard. I did not see that coming. So from here, what I want to do is I want to add a little bit more bounce, kind of accent certain parts. I'm just gonna grab FL keys again because I have some ideas and I want to get those down as fast as possible. So this is just gonna accent certain beats because I want those to have a little bit more bounce, and it's also just gonna play in together pretty nicely. We could even maybe add a little bit more in here. See, this note here feels a little too safe. I want to build some tension right at this point and kind of resolve that tension a bit with this chord. So maybe we actually just do this. I know you're probably thinking,
like, this melody is really basic and really repetitive.
You gotta build some repetition first, have some kind of sense of structure, and then you can get a little carried away with it or creative. If you ever want to add some dissonance or tension, all you need to do in your melody is just have two notes that are a semitone apart like this. And it sounds dark. And if it sounds a little too dissonant, what you can do is just kind of shorten the first one, then offset them a tiny bit. If you ever want to just kind of give your chords a bit more of like a spooky feel, you can always just strum them by pressing Alt and S, and then increase that time a little bit. And especially if you are using an instrument that is supposed to kind of be played realistically, go into the tools thing right here and then just press humanize. This tool is kind of goated at making things sound more human. One really fun thing you can just do with your melodies is you can just EQ a lot of the frequencies out and still kind of have it sound interesting. Since pretty much all we have right now is chords, you want to build on that and add in an actual melody line. And to do that, you really just kind of need to hum something out and lay that down. But if that doesn't really work for you, you can just freestyle on the piano roll. A good place to start too. A lot of counter melodies will start on the second beat of the first bar. Some will start on this beat here, the fourth beat. Another really good rule of thumb is chord notes will always sound good and harmonious, whereas non-chord notes can sound dissonant, and you can use that to build and resolve tension. Once you got like a 1 or 2 bar pattern of something that you actually like, you can just copy it over, and this is kind of where it breaks into the melodic structure. So I'm probably going to go with something that's like an AABC structure or an ABBC structure, something like that. Pretty much that just means I've got like my A section here, I'm going to repeat it here, and then I'm going to switch these two up. So this will be a B section and this will be a C section. Something I really like to do to actually make my counter melodies sound good is I like to turn them more into textures, I guess. So kind of just finding like something in Portal or Gross Beat that works with it. And I'm actually just gonna throw on one of my favorite gross beat banks, which is from my Overgloom trap bundle. I made it, that's why it's my favorite. And the 4 chords and rattler combo is unmatched. And from here, this is kind of where you got to get a little carried away, a little creative. Trap, a lot of it is about sampling. So I'm just going to render this out and actually just sample my counter melody. I'm just going to find like a little section here that I actually want to use, and I'm going to chop that out. Yeah, I like this kind of little bit here. I don't want the rest of this junk. I'm just going to repeat this. And this is kind of going to be my counter melody now. There's a lot of painful frequencies in this, so I'm just gonna EQ some of that out. If you ever want to make something more ambient sounding, all you need to do is just render it out. Just open up the little sampler for it and press fade stereo, and this is just gonna make the sound go from one ear to the other. Now, a lot of people underestimate the power of adding depth to their melody. What this means is you kind of have some sound that's powerful in the low end, but you want it to not clash with the drums. So this kind of becomes a little tricky balancing act. What I like to do for it though, because this is some secret sauce, what I like to do for it is I like to just kind of find like a cool deep sounding instrument. That's the one. And I just put it on the actual one. I play the bass note sometimes, and that's about it. And if you're worried about that low end clashing, you can just EQ that out. Now, you don't always need to do this for your melodies, but sometimes you just kind of want to add a little bit more rhythm to your melody. So you can just kind of find some kind of plucky sound. I'm going to use a staccato string just because it sounds dramatic. And all you realistically need to do is just kind of find some chord notes to repeat. So I'm gonna use like the 1st and the 5th because that's gonna sound powerful. And then I can alternate here. And then since I go down to the 2nd, eventually I can just kind of incorporate that. And then I just take the 5th, bring that up, and bam. Now, you really need to be careful when you have a lot of layers because the mixing can get kind of messy. So you need to be a little bit more careful with what frequencies you're using. Now we just need to throw in some drums and we've got a banger trap beat. That's all it takes. I think I could just use some drums from my Overgloom trap bundle because honestly, they're kind of gas. Oh, and by the way, if you kind of want to glue your melody sounds together a little bit better, make a melody bus. It's really easy to do. Just route everything into the same track and then throw a compressor on top of your melody and just adjust the gain as much as you need to.